In the midst of all the tears, all the brokenness, all the misunderstanding, all the false accusation, all of the misplaced confidence, and all of the genuine confusion, in the midst of this heartbreaking book, we have a chapter that stands apart from all the others. It is unique. It is profound. It is a poetic exploration of the topic of wisdom itself. And it is a fascinating chapter to read. You see, the heading says, Interlude, Where Wisdom is Found. Now, we're typically told when the role of the speaker changes, and so it seems to me that this is still Job speaking, but his tone is more reflective, more removed from the immediate situation. It's almost more hymn-like and more appreciative of the beauty of wisdom itself. Now, the reason I think this is still Job is not only because there is no change in speaker, but Job himself is an immensely wise man. And we knew that before all this suffering. And he said in the previous chapter that he was going to teach his friends a thing or two. And then all we saw in chapter 27 was that he agreed with many of their observations, but left room for different conclusions. He's not taught them anything yet. And so it certainly seems that Job is now teaching his friends where real wisdom can be found. Something that they certainly, but we also need to understand. Job begins this chapter not by directly addressing his suffering or the arguments of his companions, but by reflecting upon the remarkable capabilities of mankind. He speaks about mankind's ability to mine for precious materials and minerals in the earth. Now, that practice, in his day, would have represented just about the pinnacle of human ingenuity, pushing the boundaries of what people would have thought possible. He talks about how people have delved deep into the earth, navigating complete darkness, and have been able to extract precious materials. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. Mortals put an end to the darkness. They search out the farthest recesses for ore in the blackest darkness. This ability of mankind to mine the earth and walk out of the darkness with treasure in their hands is a beautiful parallel, isn't it? They would never have attained the treasure had they not entered into the darkness. You see in this next section that even creatures that are unbelievably skilled and designed gloriously by God to be able to act in beautifully precise ways have no knowledge that these things even go on, let alone any ability to do it themselves. No bird of prey knows that hidden path. No falcon's eye has seen it. Proud beasts do not set foot on it, and no lion prowls there. People assault the flinty rock with their hands, and lay bare to the roots of the mountains. They tunnel through the rock. Their eyes see all its treasures. They search the sources of the rivers, and bring hidden things to light. And here is the pivot in chapter 28. But where can wisdom be found? Where does understanding dwell? No mortal comprehends its worth. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deep says, it is not in me. The sea says, it is not with me. It cannot be bought with the finest gold, nor can its price be weighed out in silver. He goes on to list out all of these precious materials and says, none of these things are as valuable as wisdom. These are some profound points being raised by Job here. Wisdom is not a physical possession, and so you cannot enter a mine and come out the other side with that precious material in your hand. But to attain true, biblical, spiritual wisdom, it's like you have to walk through the spiritual equivalent of these things. Not physical darkness, but relational, emotional, spiritual darkness. You don't have to enter the depths of the earth, but you do perhaps have to enter the depths of despair. And on the other side of it all, what you walk away with is of greater value than gold. Solomon could testify to this, couldn't he? And he was wise enough to know that wisdom is the greatest treasure this world could offer. And that is what he asked for from God. Wisdom can help us to understand and to answer the deepest questions of life. And true wisdom draws us towards God. Mankind, with all of its impressive advancements, is lost when it comes to this most important issue. Just think of how far we have come since Job's day. We've put men on the moon. We've put robots on Mars. We've sequenced human DNA. We've understood the subatomic forces. We've built the internet. We've sent satellites into space. We've transplanted organs. We've engineered self-driving cars and supersonic jets. We've created marvelous medical advancements which have saved and preserved the lives of millions of people. Yet, none of these things can answer the deepest, most important, most profound questions of life. In none of these mines of technology has wisdom been found. Often, our advances have made us more advanced in our ability to sin against each other and to harden our hearts against God. What we need is wisdom. What we need is God. Where then does wisdom come from? Where does understanding dwell? Verse 23 will tell us that God understands the way to it, and he alone knows where it dwells. And he has said to the human race, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding. And so, for that greatest of all treasures, we must turn our hearts to him.